President Trump marks 100 days in office with a rally and new tariff changes. Canada's prime minister wins a fourth term, and the U.S. Navy loses a $60 million fighter jet during a Houthi attack in the Red Sea. And speaking of presidents, here's today's trivia question. Who was the first U.S. president to install an outdoor swimming pool at the White House? The answer is at the end of the show. It's Wednesday, April 30th. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Good morning, everybody. I'm your weekday host, Ayla Brown. Let me tell you, this has been an exciting week. Just 2 mornings ago, we launched the Flyover Podcast, and can I let you in on something really awesome? We are already trending on Apple Podcasts. So thank you to all of you who have listened, shared, commented, and rated us. We have another packed show today, so let's take off with the 3 biggest headlines of the day. Let's kick things off in Michigan, where President Trump marked the 100-day milestone of his second term with a campaign-style rally. Speaking for over 90 minutes, he called it, quote, the most successful 100 days in U.S. history, pointing to mass deportations, revived tariffs, and efforts to eliminate birthright citizenship as key accomplishments so far. Just hours before taking the stage, he signed an executive order scaling back a planned 25% tariff on imported cars and parts, allowing automakers to apply for phased-in offsets, 15% in the first year and 10% in the second, before the full tariff takes effect. Outside the rally, protesters gathered while supporters packed the venue, waving flags and cheering on the president's message. Up north, Canada's political landscape just got a fresh dose of stability, at least for the Liberals. Prime Minister Mark Carney and his Liberal Party secured a 4th consecutive term, winning 168 seats in the House of Commons, just shy of a majority. The Conservative Party finished with 144 seats, while the Bloc Québécois and the NDP took similar shares. Both Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre and NDP leader Jagmeet Singh lost their own ridings, and Singh has already announced he's stepping down. In his victory speech, Carney made headlines with a bold declaration saying Canada would never, quote, be part of the United States in any way, shape, or form. And finally, a serious incident at sea. A $60 million Navy fighter jet was lost overboard from the USS Harry S. Truman on Monday during an evasive maneuver to dodge incoming fire from Houthi rebels in Yemen. The FA-18E Super Hornet had been under tow in the hangar bay when the carrier made a sharp turn, sending both the jet and its tow tractor sliding into the Red Sea. Luckily, all crew members made it out safely, though one sailor did suffer a minor injury. The jet was part of the Operation Rough Rider, the largest U.S. air campaign since the fight against ISIS, which is currently focused on disrupting Houthi missile and drone operators in the region. The threat from the Iran-backed group continues, with more than a dozen U.S. drones brought down in recent months. Here's today's political headlines, starting in Washington, where President Trump gave a rare public nod to Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos. The president applauded Bezos for scrapping plans to show tariff costs directly on Amazon product listings. The change came after a Tuesday morning phone call between the two, and Trump called it, quote, the right thing, saying it helps maintain consumer confidence without stirring panic over price increases. Meanwhile, U.S.-Mexico relations saw a positive turn this week. The two countries reached a deal that will send more water from the shared Rio Grande Basin to Texas farmers. The agreement came shortly after President Trump threatened tariffs if Mexico didn't act quickly. Clearly, the pressure worked. This is a key win for farmers in the Lone Star State as drought conditions continue to impact crop yields. Over in Wisconsin, a major shakeup in the judiciary. The state's Supreme Court has suspended Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan. Federal prosecutors allege she helped a man evade immigration authorities, a serious accusation that's now under investigation. Judge Dugan has not yet publicly commented, and the case is expected to play out in federal court in the coming weeks. On Capitol Hill, Melania Trump just scored a big legislative victory. The House passed her signature Take It Down Act with strong bipartisan support. The bill targets revenge porn and deepfake nudes, creating tougher penalties and clearer protections for victims. It's one of the first major pieces of legislation tied to the First Lady's platform, and it passed with surprisingly little pushback. And finally, a political prank gone wrong in Michigan has led to some real consequences. Democratic State Rep Julie Brixey has been barred from speaking on the House floor and reassigned to a fairway parking spot after she was caught on video wrapping a Republican colleague's BMW in plastic wrap. The incident was meant as a lighthearted joke, but House leadership didn't find it funny. Brixey hasn't denied the prank, but she says the punishment might be a little extreme. For more in-depth coverage, visit today's email edition of The Flyover. Not a subscriber yet? Sign up for free at jointheflyover.com. We are brought to you today by Native Path Collagen. Are you ready to move more easily, feel less stiff, and see fewer fine lines when you look in the mirror? Native Path Collagen can help. It's made with only type 1 and 3 collagen, the two types that make up 90% of the collagen in your body, supporting your joints, your bones, skin, hair, nails, and gut. Native Path is a single ingredient formula, so no fillers, no additives, no artificial sweeteners, and it's third-party tested for purity. Plus, it's completely flavorless and mixes perfectly into coffee, smoothies, or even soups with no clumping. Right now, you can grab 3 or 6-pack bundles at a big discount. With over 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, thousands of 5-star reviews, and a 365-day no-risk guarantee, Native Path is a trusted choice. Visit getnativepathcollagen.com/flyover and start your journey today, or click on the link in the description below. Still to come on the Flyover Podcast, huge news regarding your Social Security cards, a surprising stock that surged more than 23%, and news about the Pac-12. Are they going anywhere or not? I have the answer for you in just a few minutes. Let's kick off today's financial news with a big mover. Hims & Hers stock soared more than 23% on Tuesday after the company announced a brand new partnership with Novo Nordisk. They'll now be offering the popular weight loss drug Wegovy through their telehealth platform, which investors clearly loved. Meanwhile, pharmaceutical giant Merck is making a major move of its own. They just announced a $1 billion investment to build a new factory in Delaware. The facility will focus on manufacturing biologic drugs, including a simplified version of Merck's blockbuster cancer treatment, Keytruda. In job market news, the Labor Department reported that job openings fell by about 288,000 in March, landing at 7.192 million. But even though openings dropped, layoffs also fell, down by 222,000, which suggests the job market is still holding pretty steady. And if you're tired of digging around for your Social Security card, there's really good news. The Social Security Administration just announced it's rolling out a digital version this summer, making it easier for Americans to access their information online. Let's take a look at what moved in the stock market yesterday. The stock market closed higher across the board on Tuesday, with all 3 major averages posting gains. The Dow led the way, climbing 0.75%, while the S&P 500 rose to almost 0.6%, and the Nasdaq added 0.55%, signaling a strong day for tech and broader market optimism. Bitcoin also edged up slightly, rising 0.30% to just over 95,000. Gold, on the other hand, slipped by a fraction, down 0.05% to $3,330.70 per ounce. One of the day's biggest movers, though, Hims & Hers, which surged more than 23% after announcing a new partnership to offer the weight loss drug Wegovy through its telehealth platform. Let's kick off the sports rundown with a playoff blowout. The Cleveland Cavaliers made history on Monday night with a 55-point win over the Miami Heat. It's not just dominant, it's one for the record books, the fifth largest margin of victory in NBA playoff history. Over in the NFL, the San Francisco 49ers just locked in one of their biggest stars. All-pro tight end George Kittle signed a 4-year, $76.4 million contract extension, making him one of the highest paid at his position. At 31 years old, Kittle's now the longest tenured player on the team and clearly still a major part of their game plan. In college football news, the Pac-12 isn't going anywhere just yet. The conference, which has been in flux after major school departures, just signed a short-term media rights deal with 3 networks. This will keep Washington State and Oregon State games on air next season while the league figures out its next move. And in Major League Baseball, pitchers past and present are sharing stories about one of the toughest places to play. You know where it is? Coors Field. As the Colorado Rockies celebrate the stadium's 30th anniversary, players are reflecting on the challenges of pitching in Denver's high altitude, where the thinner air makes the ball fly farther and home runs come a little easier. Here's some science and technology news, starting with some new research out of the world of child development. A new study found that preschoolers' brains actually light up differently depending on how they're taking in a story. When books are read to kids, there's a stronger activation in parts of the brain tied to social understanding. But when they get the same information through screen time, the brain activity is much more evenly spread out and less socially focused. Meanwhile, down in the Florida Everglades, an urban explorer made an incredible discovery. He stumbled across an abandoned 1960s NASA rocket buried inside a concrete silo. It's a forgotten relic from the space race era, and it's just been sitting there, hidden away for decades. And in an amazing wildlife sighting, a rare white orca was spotted breaching off the northern coast of Japan. A wildlife photographer who spent more than a decade documenting killer whales said it was the first time he had ever seen one. Truly a once-in-a-lifetime moment. You can catch that special moment on today's email edition of The Flyover. Now it's time for the Rotator, our spotlight section that changes each day of the week. It's Wisdom Wednesday, so here's some fun facts to make you smarter and maybe learn a few things about yourself. Let's talk about personality first. Experts say ambiverts, those who strike a balance between introversion and extroversion, often outperform their more extreme peers. If you're someone who likes to enjoy a party but also needs solo recharge time, you might be an ambivert without even realizing it. There are 8 key signs to look out for, and they just might explain your social superpower. And when it comes to relationships, even the strongest long-term couples can hit a lull. A counselor shared 10 simple romantic gestures that can help bring back the spark. Think small, intentional actions that remind your partner that they're still your person. And I'm not going to give you all 8, but here's a couple more. Rediscover shared interests. Keep the flirtation alive. And always send your spouse the latest edition of The Flyover. Newsletter or podcast, it doesn't matter. Either one is super romantic. Speaking of podcasts, if you're someone who struggles to get out of bed in the morning, this might help. Sleep experts say that listening to a familiar podcast first thing can actually wake up the process much easier. That little dose of comfort and routine can help ease you into the day. See, we told you. Still to come on the Flyover Podcast, a European bedroom trend that has Americans, including me, scratching their heads, a pickleball poll, and the trivia question about what president had a swimming pool put in at the White House. All next. Here are some stories you didn't know you needed. Nearly 200 cardinals are gathering behind closed doors at the Vatican this week, all in preparation for the May 7th conclave and to elect the next pope. And before things get too serious, there's been a surprisingly casual vibe. Cardinals wearing name tags, snapping selfies, and first-time voters getting to know each other before the real voting begins. Meanwhile, back here in the U.S., a Pennsylvania funeral director is facing some disturbing charges. Officials say he stole over $650,000 from grieving pet owners by dumping thousands of animals' bodies in landfills and handing out fake ashes. Authorities are calling it one of the worst cases of fraud they've seen in the pet industry. But now, shifting gears to a strange story out of Australia, an unexpected family got a shock when they checked their security cameras and spotted a stranger casually sneaking into their backyard just to swim laps in their pool over and over and over again. There was no theft, no damage, just some free swimming sessions. Ugh, creepy. And finally, there's a European bedroom trend that has Americans scratching their heads. In many countries, couples share the same bed, but not the same blanket. Instead, they each sleep under their own individual duvet. If you've never tried it, it might sound odd, but fans swear it saves relationships by ending the nightly tug-of-war. I don't know. All right, it's time for some fun. Here's yesterday's results and today's poll question. So let's go over the question and the answer from yesterday. What's your favorite way to cool down? 29% of you said, turn on the AC. 27% said a cold drink. 22% of you voted shady spot. 13% said swimming. 5% said other. And 4% of you, I feel so bad for you. You just suffer through it. My goodness, I voted a cold drink. And speaking of that, I'm going to take one right now. And here's today's poll question. Do you like to play pickleball? Yes, no, or getting into it? I have not personally played pickleball since I became a mother of 2 young boys. So the last time I played was, I believe, 4 years ago. But when I did, I loved it. My mom is also a huge fan of pickleball, and my best friend from college is working on becoming a pro player. So I feel like many people in my life play it, which makes me think that I should get back into it. Head on over to jointheflyover.com to vote, and I will read the results tomorrow. All right, it's now time for trivia. I'm going to give you the question again if you forgot. Who was the first U.S. president to install an outdoor swimming pool at the White House? The answer, President Gerald R. Ford was the first to install an outdoor swimming pool at the White House in 1975. An avid swimmer, Ford used the pool regularly for exercise. The pool is located on the South Lawn, just south of the West Wing. Notably, during its construction, workers discovered debris from the 1814 burning of the White House by British forces. You can see the photos of the historic pool by visiting today's email edition of The Flyover. Once again, thank you so much for spending another day with me on the Flyover Podcast. Don't you love that you can listen while you get ready for work in the morning? My mom does that. Remember, we're trending on Apple Podcasts, so keep sharing, commenting, and rating. The Flyover Podcast is on all podcast apps, and if you love watching it on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. I'll be back tomorrow with even more headlines. Until then, thanks for flying with us.